We get into the agenda and work of this committee. I wanted to take a moment to reflect on a former board member who passed away recently. Jerry Griffin served this board very faithfully, was a tremendous asset to the agency, and was a terrific colleague. I knew Jerry for probably 35 years, professionally, and he became a friend during that period of time. And so I just wanted to take a moment for all of us to just reflect on our relationship with him, and to wish Janie and his family and other friends best during this time of remembrance and grieving. So I won't ask for a moment of silence. I just wanted to bring that up.
Jim, if you allow me.
Yes.
I've known Jerry for quite a while also. I knew Jerry. And he and I had some spit and cuss fights over the years when he was at ACCG and I was at GMA. And I can't remember anything we ever agreed on at all. But he did that job at ACCG with a passion. He did a great job for them, representing them. I respected that at the time. I thought he took it way too seriously and thought it was way too good a job. But in any event, it was good for me to get here with him and be on the same team for a while. It gave me a new perspective on Jerry and his passion for life and his joy. And so I want to add to you my sympathy to his wife and family and kids. Because he was a good guy. He really was.
Yeah.
So thank you for that.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. Yeah.
The only thing I would mention, he was a Bulldog, diehard Bulldog, so don't forget that, because us Tennessee Volunteers, we had a few words too, but he was a great Bulldog fan.
All right. It was all about IT. And Collie, you probably want to say a little something about what the world and what MARTA has been going through with this crowdsourced Microsoft fiasco. So
thank you, Jim.
To you.
Thank you very much. It was at the point where the first couple of days back, if anything had gone wrong, regardless of what the source was, the speaker would just say CrowdStrike and keep moving. So people would sort of forgive them for that. But in all seriousness, it's no surprise to anyone that on Friday, July 19th, a software update by CrowdStrike led to configuration issues between the cybersecurity platform that we run and Microsoft. So this glitch affected servers and personal computing devices around the globe, and many users, including MARTA staff whose computers were connected at the time, awoke to find those dreaded blue screens. The point, though, is that our IT team rose to the occasion. And quite literally, some of those folks had to get out of bed at 1:30 in the morning to investigate technical issues after receiving calls from our ever-present, always-on operations group. They immediately connected with our Microsoft representatives. They determined the issue, and they began rolling out systems, rolling the systems back to the previous versions of the cyber software to restore services. So that by the time most of us woke up and heard the news about the outages, our IT team had already been well into deploying fixes to get essential services up and running. Before the end of that very day on Friday, all critical infrastructure was up and running. And by 2 p.m. on Saturday, the next day, all back-end and customer-facing systems were fully operational. Today, there are about 160 laptops and desktops that remain to be updated at MARTA, and most of those are those that belong to people who are on PTO or otherwise off and unreachable. But we also now have two solutions that allow us to connect remotely, so that today all systems. But we're not resting on our laurels. Our IT and cybersecurity leaders, Tyson Morris and Lawrence Williams, they will conduct a full post-mortem exercise to look for opportunities to improve areas of our infrastructure, applications, and procedures. So I want to thank the entire IT staff for their responsiveness, their ingenuity, and their can-do attitudes that allowed us to get back online so quickly without much disruption at all to our customers. Many hands were involved, but I'd like to specifically call out Connie Dennis, Nancy Joseph, Kenyatta Marco, James Pierce, Josh Pierre-Marini, LaTanya Pope, Sonny Bradham, Derek Wright, and Rhonda Allen. Thank you all so much. Thank you, Jim.
You bet. Thank you, Collie. Well, let's get to the mundane business of Business Management Committee work. The first item on the agenda, fellow committee members, is approval of the minutes from our last Business Management Committee meeting on June 20th of 2024. Entertain a motion and a second. All right, properly moved and seconded. Any corrections? Let's go ahead and vote. Motion passes. The minutes are approved. Next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the award of a single source contract for AirLink Mobility Maintenance and Support, RFPP P50549. Ms. Nancy Joseph, Director of Technology, Infrastructure, and Production, will come forward and stay there for quite a few minutes.
Yes. Resolution authorizing the award of a single source contract for AirLink Mobility Maintenance and Support, RFPP P50549. Next slide, please. Good morning, Chairman Durrett, Vice Chair Williamson, Mr. Greenwood, Mr. Hurley, and other members of the Business Management Committee. My name is Nancy Joseph. I am the Director of Technology, Infrastructure, and Production in the Department of Technology. I'm here to present a request for resolution authorizing the award of a single source contract for AirLink Mobility Maintenance and Support, RFPP P50549. The maintenance renewal for the Sierra Wireless routers is critical for sustaining the communication infrastructure in our buses and train. It is essential for various communication needs, such as revenue collection for fare boxes, bus mobile validators, as well as viewing videos and live stream for video surveillance in the buses and train using the Apollo camera system. The maintenance and support renewal will ensure that Sierra Wireless continues to provide technical support as required for all of our MG90 and OMG routers in the buses. Additionally, it will maintain and support services related to any patches and version upgrades for the wireless routers. Next slide, please. The Department of Audit conducted an analysis and determined that Sierra Wireless price is fair and reasonable. This is a 3-year contract, and the amount of $625,248,000 is funded with local operating fund. No DBE goal was assigned due to being a single source procurement. Next slide, please. The Department of Technology requests the Business Management Committee recommend approval of the resolution authorizing the award of a single source contract for professional services to provide AirLink Mobility Maintenance and Support, RFPP P50549, to Sierra Wireless Incorporated in the amount of $625,248. Next slide, please. I now return the floor back to you, sir.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. Entertain a motion and a second. I've got them all ready. Thank you, guys. Any questions for Ms. Joseph? Rod?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have a question. Excuse my mask because I have to wear it today. So are we buying these routers or are we leasing these routers?
These routers, we are asking for maintenance and support of what's already in our infrastructure.
Okay, so we already own them.
Yes,
This is just for the support.
yes,
Okay, so so this expense is for the routers, no matter where they are, they're going to, no matter where they're located, they're going in and they replace them? Or what type of service are we talking about?
if we have any issues technical, we can contact them. There's also a replacement of the unit
Okay,
if we're
you will-
experiencing any failures as well.
Okay, that's what I want to know. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, seeing we have no more questions, I call for the vote. The resolution passes. Ms. Joseph, you're 1 for 3.
Okay, next one, resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the enterprise WAN aggregation redesign, switch and wireless access point upgrade, IFB B50485. Next slide, please. Okay, the WAN aggregation redesign, switch and wireless access point upgrade initiative is crucial to the overall health of the enterprise. It seeks to replace outdated switches and wireless access points situated in MARTA's rail stations, bus garages, yard towers, police precinct, and administrative buildings across various sites within the authority. This upgrade is imperative due to the challenging maintenance, unreliability, expired warranty, and lack of manufacturer support associated with the current equipment. This project aims to accomplish the following: substantial enhancement in data transfer speed and overall network efficiency, expansion of bandwidth capacity to accommodate growing data requirements, integration of advanced security features to strengthen the network against potential threats, improve scalability to facilitate future expansion and technological advancements, establishment of redundancy mechanism to ensure uninterrupted network operation and data availability. Next slide, please. Okay. Notice to bidders was sent to 11 vendors. 5 bids were received. The lowest responsive and responsible bid was received by CDW Government LLC in the amount of $2,123,324.34. Next slide, please. This is a 3-year contract. This procurement is being funded with local capital fund from the approved fiscal year 2025 budget. Subsequent years will be funded through local operating funds. The DBE goal is set at 0. There are no known subcontracting opportunities. Next slide, please. The Department of Technology requests the Business Management Committee recommend approval of resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the enterprise WAN aggregation redesign, switch and wireless access point upgrade, IFB B50485, to CDW Government LLC in the amount of $2,123,324.34. Next slide, please. Thank you. I now return the floor back to you.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. Entertain a motion and a second to put this on the table. Properly moved and seconded. Any questions? Okay, not seeing any, I'll call for the vote. The resolution passes. Okay, Ms. Joseph, let's see if you can bat 1,000.
Okay, let's go. Resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the procurement of hardware and software maintenance for Arista switches, IFB B50445. Next slide, please. The Arista switches plays a critical role within our MARTA CCTV environment. Renewing the hardware and software maintenance for the Arista switches is necessary to maintain critical vendor support for the CCTV IBM SAN storage network infrastructure. This support is also needed for the upcoming data center core network upgrade, which will increase speed, high availability, and resiliency for application and database servers connected to the storage equipment at HQ and Kenler Park data centers. Next slide, please. Notice to bidders was sent to 7 vendors. 4 bids were received. The lowest bid was submitted by Cambrian Corporation in the amount of $617,245.90. Next slide, please. This is a 3-year contract. This procurement is funded with 33% local operating fund and 67% from capital fund approved fiscal year 2025 budget. The DBE goal is set at 0 because there are no known subcontracting opportunities. Next slide, please. The Department of Technology requests the Business Management Committee recommend approval of the resolution authorizing the award of a contract for the procurement of hardware and software maintenance for Arista switches, IFB B50445 to Cambrian Corporation in the amount of $617,245.90. Next slide, please. Thank you. I now return the floor back to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Ms. Joseph. Entertain a motion and a second to put this on the table. Properly moved and seconded. Mr. Pond, you have a question?
This may be more of a procurement question. On the prior agenda item, you had 5 bidders, and you had your contract analysis showed you the bidders, which is typical, but I noticed on this agenda item, in the contract analysis, there was no information on the 4 bidders, which we typically should see that in the contract analysis, I assume.
Yeah, what Ms. Holland is saying is that's typically in there. It's not here. We don't know why. It looks like it was just missed in this report.
I accept the analysis and what you came up with. I just want to understand, we should see that in the contract analysis typically, shouldn't we? Okay.
Good morning, Mr. Pond. Yes, that is typical. I'm not sure why it's missing. I'll just share with you, I do have that in my notes. Cambrian Corporation is the lowest bidder. We received pricing from 3 other bidders that were higher, and Cambrian is the lowest bidder, and I apologize for that. We'll make sure that doesn't happen again.
No problem. Just wanted to clearly understand.
Yes, thank you.
Jacob.
Just a question on the low bid here in the company. Is this company a systems integrator? Are they a software maintenance? Like, what is actually the company that's winning the contract? What do they do?
Cambrian. They, Ms. Holland, do you have any additional information about Cambrian as part of the bid process? It's a new vendor to us in IT. There must be an authorized reseller in order to be able to participate, so they can provide the maintenance for the hardware, so.
Okay. And maybe this is just a question on all the pieces we just reviewed, and just from my own understanding. Sometimes in some spaces what will happen is that as a public agency or a company, you work with a systems integrator who kind of sources all of this, does all the maintenance, all of that as part of a contract. And it seems like we're actually working either directly with manufacturers for long-term service contracts, or we're working with resellers and getting the service contracts through resellers. Is there any rationale to that approach? And I'm not as familiar with this enterprise space, but in a lot of other ones, you're typically working with an integrator.
In the IT space, yes, we do work with the authorized resellers, like for the Cisco brand or the Apollo or whichever platform that we have. That's how it's set up. They have multiple resellers that can sell the product, and then once they're authorized to sell it, they can provide that level of support. They have multiple tier as to what type of service they can provide, and that's what we use within IT as it relates to our product. And sometimes we do go to the manufacturer. That's rare,
Okay.
but they always provide the lowest pricing, and then you kind of like avoid the middleman because you're getting it directly from them, and I doubt that a reseller can beat their pricing.
Yep.
Yes, ma'am.
Mrs. Agave, I just want to add that a lot of the work, once we buy the equipment, the work is actually installed, or the equipment is actually installed by MARTA staff, MARTA IT staff. So an integrator is not necessarily needed in every occasion when we bring these. But again, if there's something that's on the back end, the support that's needed, this is what we're asking these resellers to help us with.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Nobody else is asked to be recognized, so I will call for the vote. The resolution passes. Ms. Joseph, you can breathe now and go have a seat. And David Emery, Senior Director of Customer Technology, will come forward to present us a couple of resolutions. The first one being one for the solicitation of proposals for the procurement of MARTA On The Go mobile apps. RFP P50565. Mr. Emery, floor is yours.
Thank you, and good morning, Chair Durrett, Vice Chair Williamson, Mr. Greenwood, Mr. Hurley, members of the Business Management Committee. My name is David Emery, Senior Director of Customer Technology. I'd like to direct your attention to item 5 on the agenda, which is this resolution authorizing the solicitation of proposals for the replacement of our MARTA On The Go mobile app, RFP P50565. Next slide, please. What we'll be discussing today is first some background and context for this request, kind of how this mobile app fits into our larger strategy around digital products, an overview of the solicitation that we're proposing, the anticipated schedule and next steps, and finally the formal resolution request. Next slide, please. So I want to start by just setting the stage for our current strategy around customer technology products. This mobile app is part of a portfolio of digital communication channels, and we have projects underway across the board to upgrade and in some cases replace our current assets here. You may be aware of the website replacement project, which is ongoing. We should be coming to this committee with a recommended vendor there in the coming months. The mobile app replacement is what we will be discussing today, which is replacement of the existing app and consolidation of all of our apps into a single unified or super app. There's also work going on with our digital signage program, and Mr. Anthony Thomas will be presenting on that initiative later this morning. And one other thing I want to call your attention to, kind of concurrent to all of this, we're undertaking what we're calling our passenger information needs assessment. This is an effort to really try to understand what our customers want when it comes to rider information, digital information. This is a project that consists of some focus groups that we've already conducted across different rider cohorts. We'll be doing a more formal survey going forward, and this work should be complete in time to inform the implementation of these projects. So just wanted to note that that's something that's happening kind of in the background here. And the idea here is really to provide a seamless and consistent experience for our riders across all of these different channels. Next slide, please. So in terms of the mobile app itself and the current mobile app landscape at MARTA, as you may know, MARTA On The Go is our primary customer information app. This provides basic rider information, schedules, alerts, live tracking, arrivals. This app is over 10 years old now. It was originally released in 2013. It was developed in-house here at MARTA, and since then it's had only minimal updates. You could say it's in maintenance mode, and today it's missing some key functionality such as trip planning, and we've also introduced other apps to cover related functions like payment, the Breeze mobile app, the See and Say app for instant reporting. And one thing we've heard from our riders is that they would prefer a single application to cover all those needs, and that is part of our, that's part of our strategy going forward here. Next slide, please. In terms of why the app is important and why we want to do the solicitation now, just in general, agencies, I think, and customers are relying more on smartphone and mobile apps as part of the riding experience for accessing key information around, alerts, real-time updates, and as we roll out more on-demand services, and we do plan additional on-demand services part of this bus network redesign, the app is increasingly becoming part of the actual transit experience in terms of booking and tracking a trip. So it's very important, and I think of increasing importance going forward to the overall experience. It's also a useful tool in terms of gathering insights into how our riders are using and interacting with the system. And finally, we think the app is an important part of the MARTA brand. The first kind of touch point that a rider often has when taking a trip is with one of these digital products, the app or the website, as they plan a trip or look up real-time arrivals. So we want for that interaction to be, to be modern, and that we want it to positively reflect on the MARTA brand and encourage use of the system. Next slide, please. So this solicitation that we're bringing to you today, what we're doing is we're proposing that we go to the market and ask for vendor proposals to build and deploy and maintain a new unified MARTA mobile app. We considered different approaches. We thought about, do we go with the in-house development route again? And ultimately we decided that given our capacity and kind of given our strategic goals here, the best option is to go out to to the market. So what we are proposing is a solicitation, an RFP, for an app that will provide the following functions: real-time trip planning, incident reporting, so that will bring in the current See and Say function into this new unified app. Account management, that will integrate with our new CRM, customer relationship management system. Fares, that's a big one, fares and fare account management, that will integrate with the AFC 2.0 initiative. Demand response, I mentioned, forthcoming on-demand services, but also our existing paratransit service. And any other relevant functions, obviously anything in the current MARTA On The Go app in terms of schedules, real-time information, that will be included. Next slide, please. This is our schedule, our anticipated schedule for this project. These dates at the top are our fiscal year dates, so we just started fiscal year 25, so Q1, Q2, that's the next 6 months basically. This would be the planning phase, the approval to solicit, the RFP process, and contract award by December. Then we anticipate about a year to do the actual design and development and rollout, maybe a year, a little more. So there'd be about a 3-month design phase where we design what the new app looks like, go to our stakeholders, definitely bring in the results of that passenger information needs assessment I mentioned earlier. Then we have about 6 months for the core development and integrations. Then there would be a kind of a testing and rollout phase where we do some public beta testing, maybe with a limited audience, just to make sure that any issues are worked out. And then we're anticipating a deployment public launch in the third quarter of FY26, which basically is early calendar 26, so just ahead of the World Cup. Next slide, please. In terms of the upcoming steps for this project, so we've developed a technical scope. We're coming to the board and committee today, obviously, with our request for the approval to solicit. Next steps will be to finalize the contract documents, issue the RFP, do the RFP evaluations. We would come back to you all with the recommended vendor and then move into implementation, again, about 6 months from now if all is on schedule. There's not currently a DBE goal, but the D&I office will evaluate and assign a DBE goal for this project during this pre-solicitation phase. Next slide, please. And with that, our request is that the Business Management Committee recommend approval of the resolution authorizing the solicitation of proposals for the MARTA On The Go mobile app replacement, RFP P50565. Next slide. Thank you. I'll hand it back to you, Chair.
Thank you, David. Entertain a motion and a second to put this on the table. Properly moved and seconded. Questions, Mr. Pond?
Quick question. I know there was some conversation about updating the CNC app for
Yes.
the trains and buses. Would that be rolled into this system, that security app that's available to current customers, or would it be go with something separate?
So yeah, there are kind of parallel efforts going on with the CNC and this larger app. So just the way the timing works out, the current contract with the app provider that currently provides the CNC app expires at the end of this year. There is an ongoing solicitation right now for a new CNC provider, and so there are a couple pieces to that. One, that company will be, whoever is selected, will be providing a new CNC app that will serve as the CNC app for this interim period while we move forward with the development of the unified app. But we're also including as a requirement in that scope that this new CNC platform be able to integrate programmatically through programming interfaces with the new MARTA unified app, so that once we're ready to deploy that app, we can roll that functionality into the new app. So there will be continuous CNC coverage during this process, and the end result will be a single app that includes the CNC function.
Mr. Frierson?
So Dave, help me understand. You mentioned that that in 6 months you would be starting what process?
I think 6 months is when we plan to start implementation of the actual app development, design and development. So we're assuming 6 months for this for the solicitation.
Okay.
So the RFP, getting the responses, having it on the street, getting responses, reviewing the responses, and then selecting a vendor, and then of course we have to come back to the board for approval of the selected vendor. But our plan is to do that in the next 6 months. And then
Okay.
probably around January would be when we have a vendor under contract and we move forward with the design and development of the app.
Okay, so in January, once that begins
Yes.
with the development of the app, from that point, you're saying it's gonna take a year for us to get it actually implemented?
That's our schedule, is a year for design, the development, programming, and then testing. So yeah, we'd be looking at kind of
Yeah,
end of
that's
20.
quite a long time. So many things are happening in the market space with apps changing and updating the frequency of them. And you know, we've had the opportunity to go to a lot of different shows and look at vendors' current technology that are existing now and that they are doing some of the things that we could also incorporate. I just would like to see us try to make that timeline a lot shorter. I mean, that's a long time.
We'll do what we can, and obviously we're going to be going to the market and
understand.
asking for vendors to provide their best proposal. But you know, we're mindful that we're asking for a number of things here. There are a lot of integrations with other systems that are going to involve some technical coordination. So I think we're trying to be a little conservative around the timeline. But yeah, we'd all like to see something you know, sooner rather than later. So
Okay.
we'll do what we can to accelerate that.
All right. Great. I'm glad to see that we're moving in that direction because so many of our other transit agencies have already arrived
We
there.
have some catching
Okay.
up to do. But yeah.
Thank you, David.
Mr. Tsegebe.
Well, thank you for the update, David. 3 things. I think one, thank you. Having lived in a prior life in transit tech, I know how difficult this is, and you know, that timeline of a year, you know, speaks to having, because these are not going to be, you're going to get one provider of this app platform, but it's probably going to be integrating multiple other providers that provide different solutions, and those APIs and all that is very complex work. So, you know, I know that's going to be a lot of work for you and team. This is really exciting. I'm super excited to see this on the agenda, so thank you. 2, I didn't know that we did On The Go internally. So what I'd say is thank you also for going externally. I think this is a space that is moving so fast that it makes a lot of sense to lean on vendors for. My one question was just, has anybody done this, any agency done this? And when I say this, I mean all the pieces that we're saying here. I've seen, I think like Dallas has all of this minus paratransit. I've never seen paratransit. I've seen demand response as part of like a mass app, but I've never seen paratransit in there as well. Do we have anybody that we're kind of moving towards that has been able to do this domestically?
So Dallas was the first one that came to mind. Their GoPass app is a good model for kind of trying to get all these functions into one place. And in terms of paratransit, you know, there's another effort moving forward. I think we'll be coming to you all at some point, or maybe the operations committee. But you know, we are looking to replace the platform that is used for paratransit, you know, kind of booking and dispatching and management. And our plan there is to have a single platform that covers both paratransit and future on-demand service.
Yeah.
So I think part of our strategy is that, you know, if that's a single platform on the back end, that we can have integration with both pieces on the front end in terms of both paratransit and on-demand. Because a lot of it's the same mechanics in terms of, you know, tracking a vehicle in real time. And there are some nuances in terms of eligibility and whatnot. But that's our plan, and you know, we'll certainly take a look at, you know, what's been done elsewhere. I can't off the top of my head point to anything that I know involves both paratransit and on-demand in a single rider-facing app, but I know that's the direction a lot of these vendors are going in terms of the sort of you know, platforms for paratransit and on-demand is providing that as an integrated service, and so I think we're hoping to mirror that on the customer-facing side as well.
Well, my one push there then would be, as you go through and you're talking to vendors, making sure that they show examples of where they've been able to integrate all of these pieces, because I'll just say from a prior life, that demand responsive system, getting it into certain apps in certain jurisdictions, they'll say they'll get it done in 3 months, and then you're looking up 2 years later, and it's the vendors talking past each other saying they can't integrate for whatever reason, and it's a tough situation.
Thank you.
Great comment. Mr. Floyd.
Yeah, I promise my questions won't be as technical as Jacob's, because my experience with apps is like free cell and solitaire and stuff like that. So it seems like a year and a half. I would agree. It seems like a long time, but I understand that. My question concerns the comment about fares and fare account management. Will this app allow me to pay for a MARTA trip and access the gates and that kind of stuff? Is that where we're headed?
That's
one app?
One app.
To plan a trip and buy a ticket and get on. So
That's right.
I told you
Yes.
it's a simple question.
Yeah, So as part of, the AFC project's already moving forward, but part of the scope of work for that project was to provide these interfaces that allow for third-party systems to integrate with AFC. So that is part of the scope of the app, is to do full integration with the AFC providers, so that all of those functions, paying, adding money to your card, that can all be done through this app. Yes.
Okay, and last question is, and I think you answered this for Jacob, but I'll ask it again anyway. Are we having to reinvent the wheel here, or is it not somebody else, some other transit company doing this that we can just say, well, do for us what you're doing for them? I mean,
I think a lot has been done. I mentioned the work that's been done in Dallas, and a lot of apps or a lot of agencies are deploying apps that involve one or more of these functions. So I think our hope is to build on what's being done elsewhere, and I think there are platforms that are out, that have been developed out for other agencies, sometimes for multiple agencies, that can be deployed here. So I think we're really kind of looking to the market to recommend an approach, but I think it's going to be probably a necessity to build on what's been done elsewhere, because it would just be too much work to build all of this from scratch. And there are some some like open source systems that could be deployed here, and or other products that we could bring in that are already at a certain point in development. So I think we will be able to build on what has been done elsewhere. Yes.
And I just add to that, what David isn't saying is, in this space, because things move so quickly, if we're targeting what DART did last year, by the time we're done, DART's already into for example, into it. So it's a leapfrog environment, but the agencies do talk to each other to see what the latest is, and we collectively improve on that. So thanks, David.
And just the one thing I'd add on too is people have done it in the space, but everybody's using different platforms. So our fare service technology is different than others. Like, we have a different combination, maybe C and say. So what happens is, maybe somebody has done it, but no company has integrated the 8 solutions that we use into a single app, so they do have to some degree, rebuild it. But I mean, that'll be what we work through as we go through it.
Okay, and the last question is who does this? I mean, is this Apple or Microsoft, or is there 35 companies out there that build apps for people that you're going to be dealing with? Who are you dealing with?
There are companies that do this specifically, that provide transit mobile apps. There's some off-the-shelf products that could be candidates here. We're trying to write the scope so that it could either be kind of a private label of an existing app, or it could be something that's more custom for MARTA. Again, we're trying to give the vendors some flexibility there. But yeah, there is I would say a robust and growing ecosystem of vendors that specialize in transit or more sort of general transportation mobility app development.
Okay, the last question, just who does Delta's app? I mean, do they build their own app, or do?
I don't know if their app is in-house or privately, or if they contract out. I'd have to look into that. But
so whoever built that app couldn't do ours. I mean, are they different?
I mean, I think aviation's kind of a different.
What you were talking about.
I expect that the bidders for this will be companies that have worked specifically with transit agencies in the past, and there are a number of companies that do that. Yeah. That's true. Yes, yeah. So that was part of this. I should have mentioned that was part of this process. Was we did a request for information probably 6 months, a year ago now, where we just asked, where we just kind of polled the market. What can you do in terms of transit app development? A lot of specific questions about functions, and we did get 10 responses from companies that expressed some degree of interest in being part of this effort.
Thank you.
Ms. Blakely.
Thank you. This is a great presentation. My question is pretty quick. So do we have plans going forward to evaluate the necessity of replacing our app more frequently? So this one we rolled out 10 years ago. Yeah. So do we have plans going forward to maybe, once this is established and we're, in the throes of everything, to maybe evaluate annually? I don't know what that would look like, but just making sure that, as technology is changing every second, that we are being proactive in addressing that.
Yeah, so a couple points there. One part of the scope for this app solicitation would be an ongoing maintenance and enhancement kind of mechanism. So there would be budget and time allocated each year for if say something changes, some data standard gets updated and we want to have the app reflect that, or there's something we get feedback from riders. Oh, it'd be great if you could like move this button over here. We can go to the vendor. That's going to be in the scope to kind of price that out and move forward, and there'll be kind of an allowance for those sorts of enhancements going forward. So it won't just be kind of set in stone from day one. The idea is that it can evolve going forward. And in terms of the frequency of replacing the app in total, I think we for our planning purposes, we're assuming basically a 5-year lifespan for this replacement app. Right, yeah, that may include the initial development, but basically it'll be a 5-year project. And I think we'll just need to see where we are in a few years. Maybe we decide that this app is good enough to keep going, or maybe we do some kind of a refresh of it, or we might decide that okay, it's been several years, it's time to kind of go back and start again. So that's some of it's just going to be playing by ear and see how things evolve once the app's in place. But yeah, we do have that kind of built into the timeline of kind of a reassessment and then potentially going back and doing a full replacement if we decide that's the best course of action.
So is the 5-year, is that industry standard? Or is that just based on?
I mean, that's fairly maybe typical for doing kind of a major refresh. I mean, I think we definitely don't want to go as long as we've gone since the MARTA On The Go app. 10, 11 years now is pretty long, especially since we really haven't been doing a lot of functional upgrades. We've been doing some kind of maintenance and security updates to that app. But yeah, we definitely want to make sure that we're keeping up with trends and any kind of new developments.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, seeing no other questions, I'll call for the vote. Resolution passes. It's a milestone.
Thank you.
Jacob, I'm with you. I'm really excited about this. Anything that is so customer-facing is just terrific that we're working on improving it. I have one question or suggestion, Collie. I get asked somewhat often, when is MARTA going to have a new way of paying for your fare and going through the gates and all that kind of thing? Shouldn't we be doing something a lot better than buying Breeze cards and Breeze tickets and that sort of thing? I think it might be a really good idea, given what we're doing here and how all of this is going to be integrated, to put together a message, a communication to give to the public about here's what you should expect and when you should expect it, rather than having David Wickert report on this committee meeting and say something in his terms about what it is. No offense, David. Could we look into that?
We sure will, Jim. As you said, we have, we've talked about AFC 2.0 in a number of different venues, but sometimes it's context driven. So if we can put it all in one spot and share with the customer. We do also have our customer charter, initiative that we're doing on an annual basis. So that's where we will roll out to the customer what they can expect in the next year in these different categories. So we'll just expand on that and make sure that particular question is answered.
Thanks a bunch. Okay, David, we're going to move on to your next resolution about the Swiftly data platform.
All right, thank you again. And the next item is item 6 on your agenda, which is a resolution authorizing the award of a single source contract for the Swiftly data platform procurement P50547. Next slide, please. So what we'll be covering here is just an overview of what Swiftly is, how and why we use this product today, our long-term strategy around real-time data services, which is what Swiftly addresses, the proposed contract that we're bringing to you today, and then our formal resolution request. Next slide, please. So what Swiftly is it's a commercial software as a service product that we have essentially a subscription for. It does kind of real-time data processing and transformation, and it provides enhanced arrival predictions for our bus and streetcar fleet. It has the ability to combine real-time data from multiple sources into a single integrated feed, and it also provides some live tracking and reporting dashboards that we use internally. MARTA has been a Swiftly customer since 2022, so a little over 2 years now, and our current subscription expires this September. Next slide, please. This slide is just kind of a graphical depiction of like how Swiftly fits into our current rider information pipeline, you could call it. Essentially, it's a middle layer that sits between the actual vehicles, those are the buses and streetcars, and both our customer-facing products, so the mobile app, web-based products, and also these internal dashboards that we use internally. And so the data that feeds into Swiftly right now comes from two different places. There is the existing data from what we call the CAD AVL system. That's computer-aided dispatch, automated vehicle location. So that's the technology that's actually on every bus, and it it knows which route it's on. It knows where it is as a GPS device. So that's a system that I should note you may be aware we are in the process of upgrading. The current vendor there is Trapeze, the Transit Master product. We are migrating to a new and what should be improved platform called Clever Devices. So that's ongoing as we discuss this. But for now, it's it's still the existing CAD AVL platform, which only provides 2-minute updates for bus positions, which is not ideal. But that's what we get from the current CAD AVL platform. We also get data from there are these cellular devices on each bus that provide the position every 5 seconds, which is significantly better, and that was put in place kind of to augment and improve the data that we're getting from the vehicle location system. So part of what Swiftly does is it just takes those two different data streams and merges them together into a single stream that can then go to the app. So if you're using the app today to, say, track a bus, if you go to one of the bus route screens where you can see the map of the route and you see the buses on the route, that data is coming from Swiftly. And then Swiftly, of course, is pulling that from these other back-end data sources. So that's how we're using it today. In the future, and I mean in the near future, we are migrating to this new Clever Devices system. That will offer significant improvements in terms of the quality and frequency of the data coming out, but it is going to be a transition. We're not switching over the whole fleet at once. It's going to be kind of a gradual, probably year-long process. So one other thing Swiftly will do is it will provide kind of a common interface to these two systems as we move from the old system to the new one, and it will ensure that we have continuity of and consistency of information going out to our customers during this transition. Next slide, please. So in terms of our long-term strategy here, what we're requesting today in terms of Swiftly is that we procure a new subscription. Since our current one expires in September, we are asking for one that will be at least 1 year, have a base term of 1 year with an option for a second year that we could exercise at our discretion. And the idea there is to align with this ongoing replacement of the CAD AVL platform. So this will allow Swiftly to be in place as we complete that migration and through the point where the whole fleet is now on this new Clever Devices system. The immediate next step after we have a new subscription in place would be for us as staff to conduct an analysis of Swiftly versus the Clever, this new Clever Devices product. Our hope is that, and our expectation, I should say, is that the information coming out of this new CAD AVL platform is going to be better, that it's going to have more accurate predictions, more frequent updates, and a big part of what Swiftly does is kind of get us to that point today. And so there's a question of like, are we going to need Swiftly at all long term? What we want to do is do kind of a systematic analysis of the data coming out of the new Clever Devices platform, what Swiftly produces given that data. Are they adding value once we have this new platform in place? If the Clever Devices platform is competitive, then we wouldn't necessarily need a long-term deployment of Swiftly, and we could just kind of transition out of that product at the end of this new contract. Otherwise, if we determine that it's still worth having Swiftly in place or a similar product in place, our plan would be to conduct at that point a competitive procurement for a longer-term product that does this data enhancement transformation. Next slide. So this is the proposed contract for this new term for the Swiftly subscription. Again, our strategy here is to procure a new contract with one base year, one option year, starting the base year would start in September, this year. And then this will allow us to continue to have this in place while we conduct this assessment of what our long-term needs are. This will be a single source procurement, so the Office of Diversity and Inclusion is not assigned a DBA goal. I'll also mention that internal audit has completed their review and has determined the amount that we're asking for here to be fair and reasonable. And the cost would be about $500,000 for the first year, and then another roughly $500,000 for the option year if we were to exercise that option year. Next slide, please. So our request is that the Business Management Committee recommend board approval of a resolution authorizing the award of a single source contract for the Swiftly Data Platform Procurement P50547. Next slide, please. Thank you, and I will turn it back to you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Emery. Entertain a motion and a second to put this on the table. Properly moved and seconded. Ms. Hardage, you have a question?
In slide 4, you show that both rail, not the rail cars, but the buses and the streetcar. So does this not include the rail system?
This does not include the heavy rail system. No.
Okay,
that's
thank you.
a completely separate
They're
system.
on a completely
Yeah,
separate
yeah,
system.
yeah.
Thank you.
Mr. Pond?
Quick question. What was the annual cost of the prior contract?
The annual
These guys.
cost for the, so,
Approximately.
I have some numbers here. I know our total spend on Swiftly to date is about $800,000. We started with a one-year kind of demonstration that was around $175,000. We did a one-year, later we did a one-year extension for $560,000. The reason it jumped up when we did that first extension is that the decision was made to add on some additional modules. The way Swiftly works is that there are all these different functional software modules that perform different kind of different features. There's the base one that really is the core of the product, which is the kind of data enhancement and the passenger predictions. So that's been part of the product from the beginning. We made a decision, I guess about 2 years ago, to try out some of the other modules that included on-time performance, so more in the kind of analytics realm. So we added a on-time performance module that our research and analysis office evaluated, and then we also added a service alerts module. So that's what we have right now, and it's what we've had for the last year. And we're actually scaling it down a little bit. So the annual price is a little bit lower than what we've been paying for this last year because we are dropping some of those modules that we've decided we don't need going forward. So yeah, so it's about $500,000 now is their proposal for the new contract.
Okay, Mr. Floyd?
I see where this data Swiftly communicates is used in what you call customer-facing products, and I'm assuming that's some way you look at where the buses are or that kind of thing.
That's right.
And also internal tracking and reporting dashboards. So we're paying asked to pay $500,000 for the accumulation of this data. My question now is what happens to the data later? What is there use to MARTA of this data in analyzing future needs or whatever?
I mean, does
that make sense?
That makes sense. I mean, that is part of their product that they offer are these kind of analytic tools, and that's one thing that we looked at. One thing that we will be getting as part of this renewal is what they call their playback module, so where it archives kind of a history of like what each vehicle was doing. And so if say a customer calls in and says like, oh, my bus didn't show up, we can go and look at that exact moment and see in pretty fine detail what exactly was happening at that moment. So it allows us to do some kind of historical reconstructing of you know, what happened, if there's a specific incident we want to look into. You know, I think there's definitely more we could do with this data. I mean, it does provide ways to access and archive the information if we wanted to look at you know, certain trends, or try to, you know, use this to evaluate ridership trends, that sort of thing. So I think that's something we want to look into going forward. But I think our more immediate question is, like, is it going to be the Swiftly platform, or is this new Clever Devices County AVL system going to be enough? So I think we want to answer that question first, and then we can start to look at, you know, what can we do going forward with all this data.
Okay, I guess my question is there anybody in MARTA who's asking you, where's the data from this stuff so that I can analyze this problem?
Yeah, so research and analysis is the office that.
So there is somebody doing that.
Yeah, they were the ones evaluating the on-time performance tool, which we had a kind of a trial for. And yeah, so they would be the ones to kind of aggregate and do any kind of analysis work, you know, kind of beyond just providing information to customers.
Okay, I guess I don't know that I want to see this or not, but because it would get too technical for me, but the data to somebody that analyzes the data to somebody that says, here's some changes we need to make in the way we operate because we now know this problem and that problem. I don't know whether I'm asking for something I really don't want to see.
Yeah, I want to ask Collie to respond to that.
I can add to that. So Bill, there are a number of benefits to that data. Number one is I want to say that having the accuracy of data that David's talking about is going to be a godsend to us. So, you know, there are times where we have conflicting information, but having one true source that's verified and accurate is going to help us in a lot of ways. So firstly, on-time performance for our vehicles is a key element, a key performance indicator for MARTA. This will help us go back and review on a very granular level what's happening at these locations where timing points and bus locations aren't adding up. It also allows us to have these operational reviews, origin and destination, as to, how loaded are these buses, what's the timing point, how frequently are we going past these locations. That'll help us with operation and route planning as well in terms of near side stops, far side stops, where the delays are happening. And then largely, you see this bus network redesign that we're going through right now. There's a lot of data that we depend on in order to make good decisions and back those decisions up, because anecdotal evidence is, in a case like that, is not enough. So we would love to have, and we will appreciate having this true repository of inarguable facts about who's using our service, how often it's running through, and how, quite frankly, how much utilization we're getting. So all of that, that data source, when it comes to big data and how we use it, is, collecting it is one thing. To your point and to your question, our analytics group, Rhonda's analytics group, will make very, very good use of that.
Okay, I take that the answer is it's worth the money.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's used, I'll add, it's used by, the bus operations, it's used, I think, by customer service if, they're looking into some sort of complaint. So we definitely want to have a platform for this. I think our question is, what is the best platform going forward? And that's something we'll be looking at as part of this exercise.
Mr. Tsagambe?
Just a quick clarifying question. This software, Swiftly, I know it's used for bus location, predictions, all that. It doesn't track any ridership, does it? It doesn't say anything about occupancy on bus or capacity. It's just simply location, positioning, and...
Yeah, we are not using it for that purpose. They may have a module that does kind of crowding, but we're not using it for that purpose.
Ms. Scott?
Yes, my question is, was this a single source procurement by choice?
That's our request. So this started as a kind of a demonstration project. We decided to put it into production because we were getting value out of it, and we are proposing that we move forward with an additional contract with this specific vendor as a single source. At this point, it would be a pretty major undertaking to switch to someone else, and we don't know how long we're going to need it, but I will reiterate, if we decide we need this kind of product going forward, longer term, our plan would be to do a competitive procurement.
So there's proven data?
Yeah, I mean,
the reason why this particular process was chosen, single source?
Yes, we have been using Swiftly for a little over 2 years now. I think we've been satisfied with the results. We've seen noticeable improvement over the existing bus tracking product. You know, it's definitely enhancing the information we're able to deliver. We're able to go from 2 minutes to 5 seconds in terms of our position updates. So there's definitely value being provided by this product. I think justifies
So
that.
the single source was substantiated, is what you're saying?
Yes, we had there is a single source memo that's available, and that has been approved.
Thank you.
Call for the vote. Resolution passes. Thank you, Mr. Emery.
Thank you.
All right, at this time, Anthony Thomas, the manager of customer technology products, will come forward to present the last two resolutions for our consideration. Mr. Thomas, good morning.
Good morning, good morning. Good morning, Chair Durrett, Vice Chair Williamson, Mr. Greenwood, Mr. Hurley, and members of the Business Management Committee. My name is Anthony Thomas, and I am the manager of customer technology products in the Office of Customer Technology. May I please bring your attention to agenda item number 7. This is a resolution authorizing the solicitation of proposals for station digital signage for the Transit Rider Information and Passenger Signage Program, RFP P50559. Next slide, please. Before requesting your approval, I will explain the Transit Rider Information and Passenger Signage Program, discuss the specifics of the station signage component of the program, provide a brief overview of this solicitation, and discuss upcoming next steps. Next slide, please. Digital signage allows MARTA to convey vital information to our customers in real time. Many patrons have smartphones to access similar information. That's why David spoke earlier about our intent to enhance and upgrade the MARTA On The Go mobile application. However, some of our patrons don't have access to smartphones, or maybe their hands are full with groceries or strollers and they don't want to pull out their phone. We also have riders with disabilities who may not be able to use a smartphone. Persistent, dependable, and accessible service information is critical to improving our customers' journeys through the system, and digital signage is one tool in our toolbox to do just that. Next slide, please. The Transit Rider Information and Passenger Signage Program, or TRIPS for short, is a brand new initiative here at MARTA meant to deliver high-quality digital information across all of MARTA's fixed route modes. The TRIPS program consists of 3 main components: station signage, bus stop signage, and on-vehicle signage. Today's presentation is regarding specifically the station signage. The next presentation today will focus on the trip stops signage at bus stops. Next slide. As you are aware, MARTA currently has existing digital arrival signs in our rail stations. We refer to that system as the Audio Visual Information System, or AVIS. TRIPS will not be replacing AVIS, but will work to augment and supplement AVIS so that both systems deliver the information our patrons need when they need it. The form factor, the installation location, and the content will all be different between AVIS and TRIPS stations. The goal is for AVIS to focus on upcoming rail arrival information and service alerts, while TRIPS can provide location-aware real-time bus and rail arrivals, route maps, elevator and escalator outages, wayfinding and points of interest, and so much more. Over the next several years, MARTA will be working to establish a broader digital signage ecosystem, with TRIPS and AVIS as the building blocks. We'll be putting signage where it's needed and displaying content when it's needed in the passenger journey. Next slide, please. The TRIPS Station project will deliver over 365-inch outdoor-rated wall and floor-mounted digital passenger information screens. The content for the screens will be developed and maintained internally by the Office of Customer Technology, following a design language that will be consistent with screens on the new rail cars and along the MARTA Rapid lines. This internal ownership of content will provide MARTA the flexibility to make changes as needed to any screen virtually instantaneously. The screens will be located in various parts of our rail stations, including on platforms, inside and outside of paid areas, and in bus loops. The project will also include audio equivalency for persons with visual impairments. As mentioned earlier, Avis will continue to display and announce rail arrival information and emergency alerts. Next slide, please. The contract will include provisions for all hardware associated with the TRIPS Stations program, including the screens themselves, built-in media players, and mounting and housing units for installation on both walls and floors. The contract will also provide a hardware warranty and ongoing maintenance support services. The design and installation of the supporting infrastructure, including power and data runs, as well as the installation of the screens themselves, will be managed in partnership with our Department of Capital Programs Delivery and will not be a part of this solicitation. Next slide, please. After proposal evaluation and award of the contract to the successful proponent, we will work with the contractor to refine the device delivery schedule. In tandem, we will work with our CMAR partners installing the support infrastructure and screens as they are manufactured. We anticipate rolling the digital signs out over a 5-year period. Next slide, please. The Office of Customer Technology believes that enhancing our digital infrastructure will greatly improve the customer experience. This project will change how we communicate the dynamic nature of our transit services to our customers. With that, I conclude my presentation and request the committee's approval of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. Entertain a motion and a second. Properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions for Mr. Thomas? Ms. Scott.
I'm trying to get back. The audio equivalency for persons with disabilities, so there will be an announcement that will coincide with what's on the screen. Is that?
So, you know, if you're in the stations, we're always making announcements. And so I think the approach would be that there would need to be some sort of action by the patron to request that audio information. So typically that's done with like some sort of push button. But we also can do it in a way where it, you know, automatically cycles every, you know, couple minutes or something. It provides that information. I think we're still kind of in the discovery phase as to what the best approach would be to do that. But we wanted to just highlight that it is something that we're thinking about.
I don't quite understand. So it says audio equivalency.
Yes,
So
ma'am.
So that would mean, to me, that whatever is on this screen is now also being pronounced. We're working on that. We haven't reached that point yet.
Right, yeah. I think we will certainly have the ability to have it audibly provided. I think the thing that we're trying to determine is whether or not we just automatically announce it if there's no one there every 5 minutes like we do with the Avis system, or if a patron would need to, like you're pressing a stop request button to cross the street, you press the button and then we trigger that announcement for you in real time. I think that's the piece that we're trying to determine, and we'll have to have some conversations with various stakeholders in the disability advocacy community to determine what the best approach is. But we will have some sort of provision either by dynamically just constantly doing an announcement every few minutes or by request.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Ms. Hardage?
I think Ms. Scott answered my question, but I did not vote against. If you could change that, please.
You got that, can you? Okay. Ms. Jones?
Hey, Mr. Thomas, thank you for the presentation. You said that rollout is over 5 years. So does that mean the end of delivery is 5 years, or are you starting delivery at 5 years?
Oh, great question. So the last screen in the program will be installed in the 5th year. So we would, assuming all goes correctly, the first screen would be deployed this fiscal year.
Mr. Floyd?
The screens we see now in the rail stations that have when the train's coming, is that the Avis system?
Mm-hmm. That's correct.
Okay, those screens are not in the right places for me. Okay, I can never find one that I want to look at. So will these new, you say over 300 screens,
Yep.
they won't replace those.
Correct.
They'll be in new locations,
Correct.
right?
Yes, that's
They're
correct.
not in the right places right now. Let me assure you that. You might want to let me go and put an X on the wall, put one here, put one here. because I can't find them when I'm looking for them. But I do think that what you're offering here is absolutely essential to a good experience riding the train. Because if you can't come down that station and see the information that you need and understand how long you're going to be standing there before your train comes in, then it's not a pleasant experience like it should be.
Yes, sir.
So anyway, I'll be interested to see how you come up with what actually goes on these screens and what information is needed there. I think it's something that you're going to have to determine, you and your group are going to have to determine over the coming months.
Yeah,
Anyway, thank you.
absolutely. And one thing that I'll just add, David mentioned the Passenger Information Needs Assessment program that we're working with in tandem with research and analysis. This is a big component of that program. What information do you need at what parts of your journey? Should we put the screen before you've paid, just in case there's an issue and you don't actually want to choose transit, or should it be on the platform while you're waiting for the train so you can get that update information? So those are the sorts of things that we're trying to work out through that project, so that as we deploy these screens, they're giving the people information that they need.
So I'll interject here. So when I'm looking at an Avis screen, wanting to know when my train is going to arrive, and instead it's throwing up information about an elevator that might be out 3 stations away or something out, or these numbers and letters come up there that I don't know what they mean. This combined program of the trips and Avis means that from now on, once this is fully operational, you really will be able to tell when your train is coming and not have that information be replaced by stuff that most people aren't even understanding what it means, right?
Absolutely. I think the idea is that currently the Avis system has to wear many hats. It's the rail arrival information, it's the emergency alerts, it's the elevator outages, and it has to do a lot of things. And I think a lot of our patrons just want to know when the train's coming. And so the idea with this TRIPS program is that we can provide that information in a different form factor in a different location, so that Avis can focus on kind of being the more specific system.
As long as you put the Avis screens where Bill can see them.
Got it.
Okay.
I'll send you the calendar invites for the site visits.
Ms. Jones.
Need to put that X on the wall, need one here.
2 questions. So I'm thinking about Peachtree come out, there's wayfinding signs. Would that replace those? So telling you where the hotels are, et cetera?
So we are in the early phases. Since it's a 5-year program, we're literally going to every station and determining where the screen should go. And so I think that would be determined kind of on on a station by station basis. But that is something that certainly can be accommodated with this system that we're deploying.
Okay, and then second question, are these interactive screens?
No.
Mr. Frierson.
Yeah, so what I understand is that these screens, so when I'm doing a bus transfer and I'm standing in this space, I need to be able to know what buses are going to be coming in this space. And so me, the screens would be more advantage where I do the bus transfer than they are down on the platform, in my opinion. If the Avis gives us the information that we need on the trains, then that's all it needs to do. And I have to agree with Bill. I look at these screens and I'm always looking at them on the back side, and I have to go to the front side, and it just seems to be in a very awkward place, but that's all right. The information that you're going to have on the displays on the buses, is that what this is going to also provide information on the buses?
Yeah, so I mentioned that the TRIPS program is has 3 components.
Right.
This presentation is specifically about station signage.
Yeah.
Buses are included in a way that some of these screens will be deployed to bus loops in the system. The next presentation will be about information at the bus stop, and then a future project, which we're hoping to launch probably in the next 6 months or so, would be for the on-vehicle screens on the fixed route buses. Yes.
Okay. Well, I would hope that we were, in our acquisition of new buses, kind of utilizes the screens that are already built on the buses as a place to kind of communicate without putting another screen on there where we have data that's running already either on the outside or on the
Sure.
inside of the buses. I think that's important, but I understand now. Thank you.
Yeah, of course, thank you.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. My screen isn't saying it passes, but it looks like everybody voted for it. So, is that? The resolution passes.
Awesome.
And now you've got one more to present to us, which is that second part of the program. So,
Yes, sir.
thank you for that.
Chair Durrett, Vice Chair Williamson, Mr. Greenwood, Mr. Hurley, and members of the Business Management Committee, it is my pleasure to bring a second but equally important item to your attention. Agenda item number 8 is a resolution authorizing the solicitation of proposals for bus stop, e-paper digital arrival screens, and installation services for the TRIPS program, RFP P50560. Next slide, please. Today's agenda will look very familiar as it follows the same structure as the previous presentation. Next slide. As we just discussed, the TRIPS program is a three-legged stool: stations, stops, and vehicles. This presentation focuses on the second leg, what we're calling TRIPS stops. Next slide, please. TRIPS stops focuses on providing our patrons with location-sensitive, real-time arrival information at our bus stops around the service area through new digital screens. MARTA plans to use these screens to not only let customers know when their bus is coming, but to display the route map, notify riders of canceled trips, and much more. The deployment of these screens will be, the deployment of these screens will align with upcoming capital projects, and each screen will be co-located with other MARTA bus stop amenities, like shelters, benches, and semi-seats, deployed by our bus stop planning team. Next slide. This solicitation will provide over 1,000 e-paper digital displays for our bus riders, covering over 15% of bus stops. E-paper screens leverage similar technology to Kindles or other e-readers, meaning they are ultra-low power and extremely durable. MARTA's specifications for the screens require at least an impact rating of IK8, meaning the screen can survive being hit from a small distance with an 11-pound hammer. We also require ingress protection of at least IP65, meaning the screens will be resistant to dust and protected from water intrusion from the summer storms we so often receive in the Atlanta area. Finally, in cases of vandalism, like graffiti, we will include mitigation measures, like sacrificial films, which can be easily removed and replaced, returning the screen to its original state. This contract will include mounting and housing options that accommodate deployments on shelters and on poles. And for maximum flexibility, we're including solar arrays and battery packs for screens that are solar powered. For locations with existing hardwired power, we will connect directly into the grid. Finally, this contract will also include the design and installation services, warranty, and ongoing maintenance for the duration of the contract. Next slide. Again, we anticipate rolling out the digital signs to bus stops over a 5-year period. Also, to note, our team has worked with the Office of Budgets and Grants to submit applications for federally, congressionally directed spending to support this initiative. We look forward to hearing about the status of our grant applications later this fiscal year. Next slide, please. In my opinion, the bus is the lifeblood of MARTA's service. New digital signage at bus stops is meant to further enhance the experience of our bus riders, more closely aligning the bus experience to that of rail. I now conclude my presentation and respectfully request the committee's approval of the resolution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Thomas. I'll entertain a motion in a second to put this on the table. Okay, that has been done. I've got to say, when you said it, I'm not going to call it an e-reader, but that's not what it, when you said it would withstand an 11-pound hammer hitting it, I have a vision of when Mr. Musk demonstrated how his truck would not be damaged and broke it. So let's not advertise the 11-pound
Sure.
hammer.
We don't want people showing up with 12-pound hammers.
Yeah. Touche. Ms. Jones.
Thanks for the presentation. Just a quick question. Do you have information on, let me rephrase that. What is the spread of current digital signage, and how will this signage be installed? I know this is the very start of the process, but my concern is that digital signage is not equally spread across the system, and so how do we make sure that everyone is benefiting from this service?
Yeah, great question. So the work to date has been in coordination with the bus stop planning team to determine kind of what the scale of the program should be. And basically the analysis that they did was they looked at where they have been deploying bus stop amenities through the 1,000 amenities program, or 1,000+ amenities program. And so over the next several, as we work to kind of start to deploy these screens, we would work with that team to determine where they should go. I'm sure David would agree, our team is good at technology. We're not necessarily the people that should be determining exactly where these should go. And so we're really leaning on that team to make that determination. That being said, based on kind of a preliminary analysis, there is a spread across the entire service area. So all of the jurisdictions would be getting substantial deployments of these screens.
Can I ask a question of you, Anthony, just to clarify for all of us? The information that these screens are providing, if one has a cell phone, then they already have ready access to all of that information for their specific. And with our new bus stops, with the QR code, you can get that information with a cell phone. So while equal distribution is important, we're also focused on equitable distribution. So if it's true that most people in one area have cell phones and most people in another area don't, you may find a concentration of these in the areas where cell phones are less prevalent. We're not ruling that out. So I really like the fact that Anthony's being very methodical about where we're placing them. But I just wanted to assure you that we're taking all that into consideration.
Thanks for that clarification. It's in the back of my mind to come back to this to talk about the equitable distribution of it, obviously, because you have to look at where there is a deficit, but I just wanted to figure out, like, if what I'm seeing anecdotally and what is being said by when you try to get an ad, and digital ads are only in certain parts of the system, making sure that that's addressed. Because even if you have a phone, that doesn't necessarily mean you have a QR code scanner. So just remembering some of those things and thinking through, even if there are new bus stop amenities, I don't think that should preclude the digital signage, especially if I'm seeing some of these on a pole.
Yeah, and one thing that I would just add is there were a couple different ways that we could have gone about this project. A lot of agencies coordinate with their advertising partners to deliver kind of customer-facing amenities alongside the advertising infrastructure. That is something that obviously MARTA is pursuing through our bus shelter contracts. But MARTA really felt like we wanted to have the control over where these were deployed. And so we are doing this project kind of independently. So we get to determine where all of these are deployed independently of where there is digital advertising or other advertising. But would love to hear your thoughts as to kind of how we can make sure that we do this in an equitable way for sure.
Mr. Pond?
One quick question, and I know you couldn't give me an exact number, but based on history of these being deployed somewhere else, what would you estimate just the cost per station or per screen? I'm just curious. Do you have any sense for what kind of, because that's a lot of stations. So.
It is. So it obviously depends. We're going to go through a competitive solicitation process to really get a specific cost. But I think this device itself, probably around $5,000 or so for the device itself. And then obviously you have to factor in things like the infrastructure requirements to do the mounting, as well as the solar power, solar panels, battery packs, and things like that. So that will increase the price a little bit.
Ms. Blakely?
Just real quick, thank you for the presentation, and I truly appreciate you guys thinking in terms of equity, because that was one of my concerns as well. So thank you for the question. Thank you guys for thinking that through, and we absolutely look forward to seeing how the results of that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll call for the vote. Resolution passes.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations to all of you. You got what you were hoping to get from the committee. I believe that is the last item. Are there any other matters to come before the Business Management Committee? This was a long meeting, and I appreciate everybody really diving in. All right, Ms. Blakely, I believe you are up next for your committee.
Good morning, good morning. I'd like to call to order the Planning and Capital Programs Committee meeting for Thursday, July 25th, 2024. First item on the meeting minutes. Could I get a motion and a second, please? It's been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions or comments? Seeing none, could we please vote? Motion passes. Next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the solicitation of qualification statements for the procurement of infrastructure, architectural, and engineering consulting services, AE 50575. Mr. Larry Prescott, Assistant Manager of Infrastructure. Good morning.
Morning, Chair Blakey, Mr. Greenwood, Ms. Peart, committee members, and gallery. As said, here to present a resolution for solicitation qualification statements for the infrastructure A&E architectural and consultant services. Next slide, please. The purpose of this program is to extend the current architectural and engineering program that we've had going on for the past 4 years. This covers the architectural and engineering support needs beyond our current staff for special subject matter expertise and national input to help us for the ongoing capital program delivery for these areas of services. So next slide, please. Current status. This contract for the architectural engineering expires next July. We had a 5-year program and we needed extra services, so we pulled the funding forward from one of the option years, as well as the time frame that came with it. And so that's why it expires next year. Current consultants, H&TB, WSP, and Pond & Company. Next slide, please. So this time we're going to do a 5-year program because we had that need last time, and the funding will be basically we'll do a projection based on our CIG to help have appropriate funding to support that 5-year program based on what we learned on this program. It's, of course, will be capital programming will provide the funding on each fiscal year and the long-term programming. DBE, the Design Office of Diversity and Inclusion, will review this during the solicitation process and give us a DBE percentage. The current assigned goal is 10%. So next slide, please. With that, I'd like to request a resolution authorizing solicitation of qualification statements for infrastructure and engineering services, consultant services, AE 50575.
Thank you, Mr. Prescott. The item has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions? No? Seeing and hearing none, I'll call the vote. Motion passes. Thank you, Larry. Next item on the agenda, resolution authorizing the solicitation of qualification statements for the procurement of systems engineering consulting services, AE 50576. Mr. Larry Prescott.
Good morning again. Duplication, resolution authorizing solicitation services for systems engineering consultant services, AE 50576. Next slide, please. Similarly, this was another program that has been ongoing for the past 4 years. Same situation where we pulled funding forward due to the need to support the capital program, and we lost that year, the option year, as well as we pulled the funding forward. This one is systems, so we affect much more scoping documents specifically. These are a lot more need for subject matter experts because of the systems are very specialized within the transit area. So next slide, please. Current status, same, expires next July. 5-year program was pulled forward, and the consultants are H&TB and WSP. So next slide, please. Similarly, this will be another 5-year program with the procurement going for support with the capital programs each year, the fiscal years, supplying the budget for these. The Office of Diversity and Inclusion will do the same thing with giving us a new percentage for this program during the solicitation process. The current goal for this one is 31%. Next slide, please. With that, I'd like to request the resolution authorizing solicitation for the systems engineering consultant services, AE 50576. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Prescott. The item has been properly moved and seconded. Are there any questions? Wow, Larry, it's easy for you today.
I told
Hearing seeing no questions, could we please vote? And it passes. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
Next item on the agenda, a resolution authorizing the approval of fiscal year 2025 bus, rail, and mobility service standards by Ms. Karen Smoot, Project Manager 1 of Planning. Good morning.
Good morning. Are you able to hear me? Okay, great. So good morning, Chair Blakely, Mr. Greenwood, Ms. Pert, and members of the committee. My name is Corinne Smoot, Project Manager 1 in Planning and Project Development, and today I will be presenting a resolution authorizing the approval of FY25 bus, rail, and mobility service standards. Next slide, please. The purpose of the service standards is to establish criteria and processes for evaluating existing services and planning changes to the transit system. We aim to adopt a more equitable and fiscally responsible approach to maximize service effectiveness. Additionally, we ensure that MARTA provides transit services in compliance with federal and state mandates, including the MARTA Act, Title VI, and requirements for seniors and limited English proficiency individuals. Next slide, please. Our service evaluation is guided by principles that aim to optimize ridership levels and enhance service quality and efficiency. We ensure equity and seamless system connectivity while reducing negative impacts on ADA paratransit services. Additionally, we focus on effectively managing transit services and resources and passenger amenities. Next slide, please. Public hearings are required for the implementation of new services and major route alterations. They are also necessary for changes greater than 25% in daily number of trips, non-emergency discontinuation of service, and fare changes. Next slide, please. Now let's move into the changes for this new report for 25. Next slide, please. Key updates include refreshed graphics and images throughout the document, including the front and back covers. We've included brief language about the forthcoming bus network redesign. We made some minor grammatical and syntactical changes, some technical adjustments to graphs and charts, as well as included some additional terms and acronyms in the appendix/glossary. Next slide, please. To that end, staff recommends and respectfully requests approval of the FY25 bus, rail, and mobility service standards. This concludes my presentation. Next slide, please. Thank you, and I yield.
Thank you for the presentation, and my apologies for mispronouncing your first name when you first
Not a
started.
problem at all.
Could I get a motion and a second? It has been moved by Mr. Durrett, seconded by Mr. Pond. Do we have any questions or discussion? None again?
Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you for the amazing presentation. Well, hold on. Can we please vote first before you walk away? Still waiting for a few votes to come in.
While we're finishing voting, Collie, was there something really terrible about your message that we had to remove?
We're revising it, not removing it. Yeah.
Motion passes. Thank you. Are there any other matters to come before this committee this morning? If not, committee meeting is adjourned. Thank you.
Jim, that's how you run a
Please. I'd like to call the Operations Safety Committee meeting to order. The first item on the agenda, the approval of the minutes. Can I have a motion and a second, please? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion changes? If not, can we please vote? I'm missing one vote. Two, four, six. Who am I missing? You got it. Okay, thank you. The agenda item passes. The next item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing the award of a contract for GPS hardware and software for the MARTA fleet, utilizing federal GSA service administration contract, and that'll be led by Jonathan Weaver. Jonathan?
Good morning, Chairman Pond, Mr. Greenwood, Mr. Wright, and members of the Operation and Safety Committee. My name is Jonathan Weaver, and I'm the Manager of Operations Technology in the Department of Mechanical Operations. May I direct your attention to agenda item number 2. This is a resolution authorizing the award for GPS hardware and software for MARTA's non-revenue fleet, RFPP P50552, utilizing the Federal Services Administration contract, GSA. Next slide. The true power of this solution lies in a seamless integration with our existing fuel management system. The combined approach goes beyond simple asset tracking, as it allows us to create a holistic view of our non-revenue fleet operations. By correlating real-time location data with GPS and fuel usage, we can gain deeper insights into driver behavior, route efficiency, and potential areas for optimization. This integrated approach empowers us to make data-driven decisions that will significantly improve fuel economy, reduce the operational costs, and ultimately enhance our overall performance of our non-revenue fleet. Next slide, please. So the benefits. Imagine a future where MARTA's non-revenue fleet operates at peak efficiency. By leveraging real-time data location, we optimize dispatching for maximum efficiency, minimizing accidents through driver behavior monitoring, streamlining maintenance based on actual uses, and enhance security through real-time tracking. These improvements translate into significant benefits, including reduced operational costs, lowered insurance premiums, and extended asset lifespan. Ultimately, AssetWorks GPS is not just about vehicle tracking, it's about unlocking the future of enhanced efficiency, safety, security, while being financially sound with MARTA, for MARTA. Next slide. So why AssetWorks? AssetWorks is an ideal partner to optimize MARTA's non-revenue fleet management. As a trusted fuel management provider, they offer seamless integration with our existing systems, minimizing implementation risks and costs. By considering fuel usage and location data under one single platform, we gain value by insights into fleet performance. This unified approach, couples with the efficiency and cost benefits of the GSA contract, ensures a smooth transition and maximizes our return on investment. Ultimately, AssetWorks empowers MARTA to achieve sustainable cost savings while enhancing overall fleet management effectiveness. Next slide. So this slide contains cost breakdown of the procurement through the GSA contract. It's a 3-year base term, which the first year will include the installation of the GPS hardware for all of our non-revenue fleet and the identified trailers, and the setup of the AssetWorks site that will be configured by AssetWorks. It's the platform to grant authorized MARTA personnel access to view real-time vehicle location and historical data, driver behavior for fleet performance. Next slide. So this solution promises a significant improvement in fleet management, efficiency, safety, and potential savings as it relates to insurance costs. We believe this is a sound investment that will benefit MARTA for years to come. So the Department of Mechanical Operations respectively requests a resolution to authorize the award of the contract for GPS hardware and software for MARTA non-revenue fleet, RFP P50552, for a total cost not to exceed $925,142. And I return it to you, Chair Pond, for any questions.
Thank you, Jonathan. I'd entertain a motion and a second, please. All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions for Mr. Morrow? Mr. Weaver, I mean. Excellent.
Okay.
Can we please vote? The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. The next item is a resolution authorizing an award of a contract for non-vehicle revenue tires, and that'll be led by Anthony Morrow, General Superintendent for Bus Maintenance.
Good morning, Chairman Pond, Mr. Greenwood, Mr. Wright, and members of the Operations Safety Committee. My name is Anthony Morrow. I'm General Superintendent of Bus Maintenance, and I manage our non-revenue fleet. May I direct your attention to agenda item number 3. This is a resolution for the procurement of non-revenue tires. Next slide, please. A little bit of background about our fleet. Our current fleet sits at 494 vehicles. We travel roughly 4 million miles per year, and we have in our makeup roughly 2,200 tires. This is procurement for all of those tires, to include the police, our auto, light duty, and everything that we use. The only specialty tire that we require for this contract is for the police tires. Those are police pursuit tires, especially those. Other than that, the tires, they must meet the original equipment manufacturer recommendations. What's new to this contract, and always, when a contract is being renewed, we always look at an opportunity to do better, and with this is additional tires. This gives us the opportunity that when we do buy a vehicle, because we're never going to stop buying vehicles, and for some reason the manufacturers don't keep putting the same tires on each vehicle, so we will constantly have to add tires or do a contract modification. Add the additional tires part of this will eliminate that, so we won't have to do any kind of modifications. We'll easily be able to add tires to this contract when the need becomes. Next slide, please. A big part of this is our roadside service. This is mainly for our maintenance away department, because they do the majority of their work at night when we're not running. Sometimes they do get flat tires, and we cannot wait until the next morning for those tires to be fixed. That's something that needs to be done ASAP. So the contractor must have 24-hour service to provide if the need becomes. All other tires we replace at our Brady and Browns Mill facilities, and we do those in-house. Next slide, please. The contractor must scrap the tires at an approved facility because we don't want any tires from MARTA being placed anywhere where they shouldn't be. That's the liability for us that we make sure that we would not be part of. Next slide, please. We received a bid from Atlanta Commercial Tire. They are a previous vendor for us. This is a 5-year contract. There was a 10% DBE goal, and this did go to audit, and the audit did find that the price was fair and reasonable. Next slide, please. The Office of Bus Maintenance requests approval for a contract to Atlanta Commercial Tire for $2,360,911. Turn it back to you, Chair Pond, for any questions.
Thank you, Anthony. Could I have a motion and a second? All right, we have a motion and a second. Are there any questions for Mr. Morrow? Yes, Mr. Price.
Yeah, so help me understand again, you only had one bidder on this. It said it went out to bid, you had a number of firms, you retrieved the information, but eventually you only had one vendor that bidded on this project?
Well, from my understanding, we did have other bidders. Maybe Ms.
Because I'm looking.
Holland can say, but I know that we are asking for so much for this. We're asking for anything from a golf cart tire up to a backhoe tire. So I know a lot of the bidders, they specialize in either big truck tires or small car or just regular car tires. But since we're asking for everything, it's such a wide range of tires that, okay?
Oh, sorry, Anthony, I was not trying to interrupt you. I was
Oh,
just
I
giving
thought
you
you
a message.
said,
No, you go ahead.
Yeah, since we asked for such a wide range of tires, it kind of limits to some of the bidders. But this is a better opportunity for us. It might not be a better opportunity for them, but it makes us better.
Okay, I understand.
I was just going to add in, I believe we had interest from other bidders, but at the end of the day, it was only one bidder that came through, if I recall.
Yes. Correct. Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, yes.
Okay.
And the internal audit has reviewed that?
Yes, sir.
Okay. I do have one question. Do we pay for this on a unit basis, like per tire, per service, or whatever?
We do. We pay for per tire. I think our cheapest tire, some of the golf cart tires, they are $80 up until $800 for our foam filled tractor tires. But we do pay for it per tire.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Yeah, I have one other question. And so you mentioned inventorying tires. So you don't have to inventory, you just basically get them on demand. Is that my understanding?
That is true. You know, it's a lot easier for us to get them on demand. We do keep tires at our facilities, at our Brady and Brownsville facility. We keep a limited number there because obviously we don't want police coming in for one tire and waiting for us to have to order a tire.
Sure.
So we do keep roughly 20 different tires at each location, and then when we use that, we replenish it as need.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Anything else? Can we please vote? The motion passes.
Thank you.
Resolution passes. All right, the next item is a resolution authorizing the solicitation of proposals for the procurement of mobility and training services, and that will be led by Peter Bruno, Senior Director of Operations, Planning and Controls. Peter?
Thank you, Chairman Pond. Good morning, Chairman Pond, and Mr. Greenwood, Mr. Wright, and members of the Operations and Safety Committee. Please turn your attention to agenda item number 4. I am respectfully requesting approval of resolution authorizing the solicitation of RFP P50572, Mobility, Eligibility, and Training Services. Next slide, please. I'd like to begin with an overview of the history of outsourcing eligibility functional assessments. We began this program in March of 2016 when we awarded a contract to a private company, MTM, to begin eligibility functioning assessments for mobility certification. This recommendation came out of the MARTA transformation program, which resulted from the KPMG audit that was done that year prior. In June of 2016, MTM began conducting the eligibility functional assessments under this new program for mobility customers. In May of 2021, the contract was put back out for bid, and TransDev was awarded a contract. That brings me here to July of 2024, where I'm before you asking for authorization to advertise the next generation of mobility and eligibility training services. Now looking ahead somewhat, we estimate in October of 2024, RFP P505 will be advertised for solicitation. At that time, D&I will assign the DBE goal, and I can report the current contractor on a target of has hit roughly 32%. So our current contractor is meeting and exceeding the DBE goal. Please move to the next slide. As the eligibility services here at MARTA are a shared function between the contractor and MARTA staff, I thought it useful to break that down for you. So MARTA staff primary duties are interviewing, screening the interviews, applicants on the telephone, also mailing the application packet out to the applicants, reviewing the submitted applications for completeness, as well as managing the eligibility and training center at the MARTA Annex building that was built with FTA funds in 2015, managing the overall certification process, and managing the appeals process. Please move to the next slide. On the contractor side, they do conduct the eligibility functional assessments, and if required, conduct any cognitive assessments as well. Each applicant or current registrant is interviewed as part of the process, and most importantly, they provide clear, documented findings and written determinations of the applicant's eligibility consistent with ADA and MARTA policies to staff. They ensure that MARTA staff have sufficient notice to inform applicants of their eligibility status. And they also identify applicants for participation in MARTA's travel training program. And finally, they make accommodations for different languages, sign language, and so forth and so on. Please move to the next slide. I thought it beneficial, since this is at the annex, to provide some photos of the facility. In the upper left there, you'll see that view is looking out from the MARTA staff area. Those cubicles were set up in September of 2020 to provide some safe distancing, as we had paused the certification process in March of 2020 due to COVID, but then we made some improvements to the location to keep everyone safe. So we developed these interview cubicles with our facilities team, and there's a plexiglass front. If you now move to the lower right, you'll see the customer part of those interview cubicles. You'll also see the mock-up of one of our rail cars, as well as tactile pads, sand, stone, and grass that we use for assessments and travel training. Please move to the next slide. Now in the upper left, you'll see we've got fully functioning Breeze TVM machines, as well as a fare gate. We use those for our travel training program. And now in the lower left, you'll see ramps that we use as well. Please move to the next slide. In closing, I am respectively requesting committee approval of a resolution authorizing the advertisement of RFP P50572, Mobility, Eligibility, and Training Services. Turning the matter back to you, Chair Pond.
Thank you, Peter. Can I have a motion and a second, please? All right. Any questions for Mr. Bruno? All right. Can we please vote? The motion passes. The next item is a resolution authorizing the solicitation of proposals for the procurement of mobility, maintenance, scheduling, and dispatching services. And that'll be led by Mr. Bruno again.
Thank you, Chair Pond. Please turn your attention to item number 5. I am respectively requesting approval of authorizing the solicitation of RFP P50407, Mobility Operations, Maintenance, Scheduling, and Dispatching Service. Please move to the next slide. I also want to provide a history of MARTA Mobility's Operations and Maintenance Outsourcing Program. This began in February of 2016 when MARTA awarded a contract to MV Transportation, a private provider of operations and maintenance services operating out of Brady. In May of 2016, MV began full operations of the MARTA Mobility Service, and at that time, the MARTA oversight team was in place for contractor compliance and management. In May of 2021, this contract went out for bid again, and First Transit, who's now TransDev, began full operation of MARTA Mobility. Again, looking ahead, giving you an idea, I'm here before you of July 2024 asking for permission to solicit. Estimating October of 2024, we'll put this out for bid. And similarly, at this point, the current O&M operator has met 22% DBE participation on a 22% goal. And the scheduling and dispatch contractor has met 68% DBE participation on a 26% goal. So summing that up, all of our mobility contractors are meeting or exceeding the DBE goals set by the board. And then in January of 2025, we estimate it will be coming back to you to request authorization to enter into negotiations. And then estimating May of 2025, the new contractor will begin services. Please move to the next slide. Now I'd like to spend a little bit of time talking about some of the changes that we're making in this new proposal. As you can see on the left side, this is the current organizational chart. I did touch on the eligibility function in my prior presentation. That is co-managed by MARTA and the contractor. As you can see, the blue blocks that's MARTA direct staff. The orange blocks are contractor staff. The reservation service is managed by MARTA staff, and that will continue to be so. And then the MARTA oversight team oversees the entire operation. Right now, we've got 3 contracts that comprise the MARTA Mobility O&M outsourcing. We've got the centralized scheduling and dispatch service, and then we've got 2 O&M providers. The first operating out of Brady, and they manage roughly about 2/3 of the service. The second operating out of Hamilton, and they manage about 1/3 of the service. What we are proposing is to merge those 3 operations and maintenance contracts into one single O&M contract with this new RFP. So there'll be no change in the eligibility. Reservations will continue to be managed by MARTA staff. The mobility oversight team will continue to be in place. However, we'll have one sole O&M service. We feel like staff feels that there's some economies of scale to be realized. There's some efficiencies and so forth, so on. Please move to the next slide. Along with the organizational changes, there's changes to the operations plan as well. We did begin the mobility O&M outsourcing in 2016 with contractor management of the mobile data terminals. That shifted to MARTA oversight. We're going to put that back on the contractors in order to leverage private sector technology solutions. We're also going to restore liquidated damages and performance bonuses for critical KPIs. We want to incentivize our contractors to attain a high performance to the benefit of our customers. We're also going to work with our partners in customer experience, I believe as Anthony Thomas had mentioned, to implement a robust trip optimizer software. We feel like that will bring us a more timely service and productivity efficiency. Since we've begun using TNC vehicles somewhat, we're going to expand the provision for that, and we're going to add contract language that protects the customers in our authority. And as I mentioned in the previous slide, we're going to consolidate this under one contract for O&M, scheduling, and dispatch service at Brady Avenue. This will reduce performance risk stemming from multiple vendors. Please move to the next slide. Please move to the next slide. Thank you. In closing, I am respectfully requesting committee authorization to proceed with the solicitation of RFP P50407, Mobility Operations, Maintenance, Scheduling, and Dispatch Services. I turn the matter back to you, Chair Pond.
Thank you, Peter. I don't entertain a motion and a second. We have a motion and a second. Are there any questions for Mr. Bruno? Ms. Jones. I see your light.
Thank you. Streamlining the contractor services seems to make sense. Do you feel like there will be enough vendors or contractors that are able to respond or handle that merging of contracts or services?
Yes. Yeah, there's some large national primes out there that can definitely handle this. That's also how we started the model in May of 2016. It was under one single vendor with DBE providers. So we're like returning. We this last contract we kind of we did sort of switch things up a little bit by pulling out the scheduling and dispatch and so forth, so on. And we've kind of seen, we've had some good performance there, but staff feels like let's bring it back to the original model and see. And we had good proposals on the first time.
Mr. Durrett?
I really like the plan changes for this. It looks like it's, they're appropriate and hopefully will enable respondents to be able to, or the successful proponent to really successfully deliver this service. I've been here a long time, and we went through some nightmarish days of being able to deliver mobility service. And then there have been hiccups all along the way. I'm sure that we have all learned from that, and the ultimate situation when we find a new vendor for this is that we're going to feel a whole lot better about how we're delivering this service. We never, I don't think I'm incorrect, I don't recall ever having somebody come to a board meeting saying, I just want to thank you for your mobility service. It's working great, and I just have just a lot of praise for you. We always hear from people who say, this happened,
Right.
this happened, this happened, and so you're feeling pretty good about the direction we're going. And I know you're not going to say, no, I'm not feeling good about it, but I just had to say all
Well,
of that.
I think I can say for the past couple of months as we've been preparing for the solicitation, we've had some deep interjection and evaluation on, okay, what's worked since 2016, what hasn't, what changes can we make, and we have an opportunity now to course correct. So I think as a result of those conversations, led by our COO and others, we feel like this plan is going to put, most importantly, MARTA, but our customers in a much better position to get to dialysis, to get to work, to get to leisure activities and things like that. So the staff does feel good about it.
Mr. Blakely?
Just a quick question. I do appreciate consolidations and efficiencies. So just remind me of why we split it into two a few years back.
So it was originally all 100% at Brady.
Right.
Then in the 2019 timeframe, a contract was awarded to a local transportation company, a DBE. It was a DBE performing a prime contract, and that was moved to the Hamilton garage. Part of the reason for that was we've long felt like if we can get the operations closer to people and sort of segment and zone out our mobility service area, then we could possibly save costs and things like that. So that was done for that reason. And then with the 2021 recompete, there was a feeling that because now we had two providers, one at Brady and one at Hamilton, that maybe we needed to pull out the scheduling and dispatch so we didn't have a fox watching the hen house situation. Say the prime at Brady had scheduling and dispatch. Well, they're going to give themselves all the favorable, highest paying trips. So we said, okay, let's pull that out. Let's have one scheduling and dispatch company that is just looking after our interest and our customers' interest, and then we'll farm out to the outfit at Brady and Hamilton. That worked, but then that contract was awarded to Transdev, and then as we've seen, Transdev is purchased first. So we kind of felt, okay, let's just put it all back together again and see how. So that's really how that happened.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Frison?
Yeah, Peter, I was interested, one of the comments that I hear when I speak to those who ride on the mobility service is that the drivers don't seem to have the right tools that they need to know where they're being dispatched and the hardware that's involved in that space. Does this address this also, or are we talking about an upgrade? How does that address that?
It does address it because we're putting the onus for the hardware back on the contractor.
All right.
So they can no longer say to us, you can't ding me on OTP because those 4 tablets didn't work. They can't say that. Plus the other thing, we know the private sector can leverage technology, can leverage those kinds of solutions much quicker than we can, not to throw cast stones, but we also want to see, okay, what innovations are you looking at? So maybe the contractor might say, okay, every couple of years we're going to upgrade those tablets, or hey, we're doing a cool thing out in Arizona. Do you guys want it? Yeah, we want it. So I think we're going to address that by just, and that's originally how it started. And so yeah, we're going to leverage the private sector acumen for bringing innovative solutions to our customers.
Great. Yeah, I think that's a great direction, Peter. I think that's really impactful if we can help in that space. And my other question is, the actual vehicle, do MARTA manage the vehicle itself, or is that something that we co-manage? Maintenance of the vehicle, you know, and all those functions.
The vehicles are owned by the authority, the vehicles
They
in
are.
the facility.
Okay.
The contractor performs all the maintenance. The oversight team makes sure they're doing the maintenance.
All right.
They'll go in on a weekly basis. They'll pull like work orders. They'll pull pre-trip cards or post-trip. Operators may have complained. They'll make sure that got cleared in a work order. They'll ask, I want those 5 vans put over at this section of the parking lot, and then they'll inspect them. So we do that oversight to be sure that they're performing to our standard. Those are our assets.
Okay.
You know, we want to protect them. So that's what's done by the oversight team.
Okay, great. Thank you, Peter.
Any other questions? Can we please vote? The motion passes. The next item is a resolution authorizing the modification of supplemental mobility operations and maintenance services, and that'll be led by Mr. Bruno again.
Please direct your attention to agenda item number 6. I am requesting approval of a resolution authorizing a contract modification for RFP P43706, mobility supplemental services in the amount of $10 million, $640,691 for a national limousine. Next slide, please. Just refreshing, using our org chart here again. A national limousine operates the current RFP out of Hamilton. That's roughly 1/3 of the service. About 50 or so vehicles is operated by A National. Next slide, please. Just a little bit about A National. They are a local company. They're based in Atlanta. They're a certified DBE serving as a prime. They entered the MARTA Mobility Contract Service when they purchased the prior Supplemental Mobility Services contract company in 2022. So with that action, then, they took over, they assumed the operation of a service. Just taking some recent data for you. Since January 1st of 2024, they've performed roughly over 12,000 trips. Again, this is just since January 1st. They've been consistently matching and at times doing a little better than our national primes on-time performance. So they've been performing to standards. Their productivity, which we like to measure as passengers per hour, has at times exceeded our average, which is good. The company's expertise and professionalism ensured a smooth, interruption-free transition from the prior contractor. We're always worried about the impact to our customers when we transition these contracts, so we take great pains to make sure that doesn't happen. They did a great job. And then they supported a recent airport shuttle service. Along with fixed route service, we provided mobility service to our customers, and they performed that with high marks. Next slide, please. So looking at the purpose of the resolution, again, to seek a modification for an increase in contract value. Current contract value is $43,223,131.81. Again, the additional funds requested is roughly $10 million, $640,691, bringing to a total contract value of $53,863,822.81. The contract term remains unchanged. It continues to be a 4-year base, and we're in the 1-year option at this time. Although I didn't put it up there, their rate as well will not change because of this. The contract expiration is March 31st, 2025. Next slide, please. So in closing, I am requesting approval of a resolution authorizing a contract modification for RFP P43706, Mobility Supplemental Services, in the amount of $10,640,691 for a national limousine service. I turn this matter back to you, Chairman Pond.
Thank you, Peter. Are there any questions from Mr. Bruno? Oh, excuse me. Okay, we do have a first and second. All right. Mr. Durant.
Would you help me understand the relationship between the service that we're voting on extending from this vendor to the previous resolution about going out to the market to provide essentially all the mobility stuff that would be outsourced? So
Yes.
how do they fit together?
Absolutely. It's essentially the same service. However, this current contract ends in March next year. So we're coming to you now because we've got to get that new solicitation on the street. So what'll happen is when that contract gets awarded based on board approval, then the supplemental services contract operating out of Hamilton, and then the larger contract out of Brady, they'll be transitioned out as this single prime transitions in.
Okay. But what this request is for another 4-year base?
No.
Okay.
No, and I apologize if
that's my
I was
confusion.
Yeah, so the contract term is unchanged. We're currently in the option year of this supplemental contract.
Okay.
And it will expire in March of 2025.
Okay.
So,
Thank you very much.
that does not change. There's just additional funds needed in order to get us there.
Okay. Ms. Scott?
Well, Mr. Durrett asked part of my question, so thank you. The bullet point consistently matching and at times outpacing national primes on-time performance. Is there a specific time frame that we pulled that data?
Yeah, I just went back to January 1st, 2024. I wanted to give you the most recent. But if the committee wants to see more data, the staff can easily provide that.
I was just wondering about the time frame,
Right.
and then the other question was answered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Can we please vote? The motion passes. The last item is for information only. It's the key indicator report, and that's in the committee package provided to the board. Are there any other matters? If not, we'll adjourn the meeting.
At this time, we're going to call to order the External Relations Committee meeting for Thursday, January 25th, 2024. May I have a motion for approval of the May 23rd, 2024 External Relations Committee meeting minutes? It has been properly moved in second. Are there any questions? Hearing none, let us vote. The motion passes. At this time, we will have a briefing by Ms. Stephanie Fisher, Senior Director of Communications. Good morning, Ms. Fisher.
Hello there. Good morning / almost good afternoon, Chair Scott, Mr. Greenwood, and members of the External Relations Committee. I'm Stephanie Fisher, Senior Director of Communications. I'm getting over COVID, and it is my pleasure to present an overview today of our media impressions from March through June. Next slide, please. In March, we released 16 press releases, including one celebrating our frontline workers as part of National Transit Employee Appreciation Day. Other newsworthy events of the month included an open house for residents in the communities along the future Rapid South Lake line, a special Artbound sponsored Women's History Month performance at West End, and a curated Spotify playlist featuring women artists. Our second year participating in the popular Autism Transit Project, where young people with autism spectrum disorder record safety announcements that play system-wide. A community celebration for the finalized TOD master plan for Indian Creek Station. A call for artists to beautify the pedestrian bridges at East Lake Station. And our annual involvement in the literacy and transit advocacy program, Page Turners Make Great Learners. We received over 1,000 impressions in March that were over 98% positive or neutral in tone and worth almost $500,000 in advertising value. Next slide, please. April saw us send 19 press releases, with one being the unveiling of a special bus honoring civil rights icon Juanita Jones Abernathy. We hosted a bus unveiling with the Abernathy family just right across the street. Other news of note in April: Airport Station closed for 6 weeks of renovations. The area along the future Rapid Campbellton line received an FTA Transit-Oriented Development Grant. And speaking of MARTA Rapid, we announced a call for artists to create murals for planned bus rapid transit shelters. We highlighted our continued sustainability efforts and local events to celebrate Earth Day and Earth Week. And we reached out to local artists to announce the opportunity to create murals for our rail stations. We had 1,230 media impressions in April, with a $2 million advertising value equivalent, and all of that news coverage was positive or neutral in tone. Next slide. In May, we sent out 15 press releases to the media, including one announcing the APTA Bus Safety Gold Award for our innovative bus hazard reporting campaign. We also announced our new Riders Advisory Council members, a series of reduced fare pop-up stores to make purchasing reduced fare media easier for our customers. The board approved alignment for Rapid South Lake that features a direct connection to the airport. We were also pleased to highlight the reopening of Airport Station after that successful 6-week renovation project. We announced an exciting new brand partnership with Atlanta United and announced the successful rezoning effort at the Indian Creek TOD. MARTA received over 1,000 media impressions in May, worth over $1.5 million in advertising value, and almost all of that coverage was positive or neutral in tone. Next slide, please. Last month, we issued 13 press releases, including one for the Copa America Watch Party at West End Station. Other newsworthy events we highlighted were MARTA Police receiving an APTA Rail Emergency Management Gold Award, Artbound and the National Black Arts Festival's celebration of Black Music Month with performances at 5 Points in West End, the board adoption of the fiscal 2025 budget, the pausing of the 5 Points Transformation Project, the bus, rail, and special shuttle service in place for the Peachtree Road Race on the 4th, MARTA Markets kicking off their summer season, and our participation in the annual Atlanta Streets Alive events, where we had live music, games, and demonstrated the ease of stowing your bike on the front rack of a bus. We had almost 2,000 media impressions in June, worth a whopping $6 million in advertising value. And I promise you, I checked it multiple times because I couldn't believe it given all the news around 5 Points, but all of the news coverage during the month of June registered as positive or neutral in tone. Next slide, please. March through June was another period of great engagement on our social media channels, with our posts receiving millions of impressions. In March, our top social media post was a Women's History Month tribute to the groundbreaking women who first operated buses for MARTA. During the month, posts on all platforms were viewed over 1 million times, generated over 45,000 engagements, and people clicked on links in the posts over 6,000 times. In April, our top social media post featured the famous shot of one of our buses pulling in front of the Georgia Dome implosion. We used this to explain what happens during a solar eclipse. People loved it, and we never pass up an opportunity to use our popular meme. Posts on all platforms in April received close to 1,400,000 impressions, almost 87,000 engagements, and our post links were clicked 12,000 times. In May, our top social media post was one highlighting MARTA's transit-oriented development successes to tie into a roundtable discussion on affordable housing in the region. During the month, posts on all platforms were viewed over 1 million times, generated over 70,000 engagements, and links in our posts were clicked 14,000 times. And our top social media post in June featured the extra service we were providing for the Copa America match between Argentina and Canada at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. All told, our social posts in June received 630,000 impressions, almost 40,000 engagements, and 10,000 link clicks. Next slide. And while Atlanta Pride is celebrated in October, we did debut our Pride logo on social media during the nationally recognized Pride Month in June, and it received a lot of positive engagement and shares. Thank you for your attention today, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Fisher. Do we have any questions for Ms. Fisher? Mr. Durrett?
Yep. Thank you, Stephanie. I appreciate that report. And I'll bet July won't be 100% positive. But I go to a lot of Atlanta United games, almost all of them. And I wear my co-branded Atlanta United MARTA shirt. 2 questions. Are we monitoring whether or not the MARTA logo and everything is being displayed as promised? Because I'll tell you, I've never noticed it since we began the partnership. And it might be because I'm just focused on the field. But I do recognize other sponsors that get put up there, but I've never seen MARTA's. So I want to make sure that we are getting the exposure that we were promised.
Okay. Peter?
Yeah, so Jim, I go to all the games too, and we get everything we've been promised. When you go and stand in line to buy something at one of the concessions locations, you'll see as it scrolls through, we'll have the MARTA branding on the side and down across the bottom of the screens. And then twice during the game, the halo board will turn for about 45 seconds to just MARTA and the MARTA colors. So you'll notice a change in the entire atmosphere from that. And then multiple times prior to the game and during the game on the large pillar,
right,
that will change over to MARTA colors as well. So okay, we are getting what we asked for out of it. I'm not timing it all, but it's definitely noticeable. I know people that I bring to the games with me, they always pick up on it. My family picks up on it, so we're definitely getting it.
Well, you're more observant than I am, apparently. And secondly, wasn't there going to be some like merchandise created? Does the merchandise exist now, and how can I buy some?
Yes, I believe it's coming in September.
Okay.
I will check with marketing to be sure, but I believe it's in the fall that will be made available. You will all get some, and then it will be made available for purchase as well.
Well, I'll tell you that people do recognize when I wear that shirt and go, oh, that's great. I wanted to get one of those, and I didn't. So
yeah, the merch is fantastic. So can't wait to debut it, and of course to give you all yours.
Okay.
Mr. Frierson?
Yes, Stephanie, I want to say thank you for all that you do and all the correspondence you send us about all the things that goes on. I wore my MARTA United branded shirt while it was on the holidays. And I was with my family, and I wore the shirt, and I was in Bangkok. I was in Thailand. Took a plane over to a small island called Koh Samui. And while I was on that island, somebody saw this shirt and said, I recognize that shirt from MARTA. And they were in the same space, and they're a big fan of Atlanta United, and they recognized the shirt. And they were in that place of the world. So
Look at us, international branding.
look at that.
Yeah.
Of all places,
I know.
of all the people that we met, somebody from our community was in that space, and they recognized that shirt, and they asked
That's
me
great.
about
It almost sounds like we all need to be armed with some to,
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
give out or sell at any given moment.
So,
That's
so
great.
great advertising for us.
Does that qualify Mr. Frierson for travel?
Absolutely not.
Yeah, really.
I don't get no mileage, anything.
Well, I wore my shirt while in San Jose, and it was well recognized
Yeah.
as well. In fact, we received a couple of questions about how our station soccer is doing, and made sure to brag that we now will have the national soccer team here. So, do I get a travel? Are there any other matters to come before the External Relations Committee? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thank you and have a great evening.